All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. Gina. The stock market has been strong, breaking records along with silver and gold. But here's the question: what lies ahead for our fates and fortunes as we head into 2026? You guys, I can't believe it's that year. What is needed is some good sense about our dollars going into the new year. So we've invited Michael Wilkerson, a favorite of our show. He's the founder of Stormwell Advisors. Michael, welcome back. Listen, the stock market ends the year strong. So what do Americans need to know about their investments and the economy going into 2026?
Well, Dr. Gina, thank you for having me, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Sure.
I think that the bull run that we've seen is unlikely to change, at least in the first half. Why is that? We see the benefits of President Trump's policies coming into play now. The Fed is easing monetary conditions. We saw in the second half of this year that GDP in the U.S. is accelerating. So that should continue due to tax cuts, tariffs easing, lower interest rates, all of this. Now, hopefully this benefits Main Street. I've talked before about how Main Street's been struggling, that we've had this split between the Ferrari and Dollar General economies where the top 10% is doing great, but Main Street's struggling. Hopefully that's going to change. Real wages have to come up. But in the meantime, Wall Street and asset values are likely to continue to grow strong, at least for now. I have sort of 4 investment themes around this, which I can get into, but my general outlook is that the positive vibes on Wall Street and with stock prices, commodity prices are likely to continue. I can jump into investment themes if that's helpful.
Absolutely. Well, precious metals like silver and gold have reached new highs, but when precious metals are strong, does that deflate the worth of the U.S. dollar? And what does that mean for the economy?
Well, I think you had the relationship just a little bit in reverse. In other words, it's the debasement of the U.S. dollar that's providing at least one source of strength for hard assets, whether it be gold, silver, or otherwise. The challenge is, and this is one of my investment themes, is what a lot of people are calling the debasement trade, the idea that since deficits and debts aren't being addressed right now at the federal level. We've got $38 trillion in debt. We're putting on over $1 trillion in interest. That's not going away. The U.S. government can't default, can't tax it away. So the only alternative is going to be to inflate it. Now, when you see the Fed and other central banks around the world easing conditions, rates are coming down, pumping liquidity into the system, these factors will renew inflation if the economy continues to grow. That means that holding cash, you're losing purchasing power. We know that the dollar's lost 20% since 2020, 40% since the year 2000. That's been the problem with cash over this time. Equities mostly keep up with inflation. To your point, hard assets, whether it be gold, metals, commodities, real estate, tend to outpace or at least keep up with inflation during times like this.
Okay, Michael, I'm going to break this down, ask you a very simple question, because many of our viewers right now have one of these. 401k concerns. What should the average American know going into 2026 in regards to their 401k?
Well, whether it be a 401k, IRAs, or other means, it's always important to be able to establish a savings for your future. The nice thing about these programs, and they're too complicated, I don't want to get into all those details, but these programs allow individuals to put aside money, tax-free or tax-deferred at least, and to be able to store up for the future. Once they're there, you've still got the same decisions to make about what to invest in or not. But these are always a good idea to prepare for the future, to save up for retirement or otherwise.
All right. Well, one great tactic for investing was just following Nancy Pelosi's stock buys, Michael. But now that she is sunsetting herself, who do we follow? What do we do? What's your advice for investments, especially along stock lines coming up in 2026?
Dr. Gina, I would say 4 themes. 1, geopolitics. 2, AI. 3, debasement, which we just talked about. And 4, American renewal. On geopolitics, I'm calling this the year of war and rumors of war. It's not talked about a lot, but every major country is gearing up for war and conflict. Major investments, both in the public sector and the private sector, that's going to flow into stocks, both defense industry and defensive stocks. Even if we get a peace deal for Ukraine, Just yesterday, headlines, 5 different stories about conflict around the world, whether it be China testing blockades of Taiwan, U.S. Taking on port infrastructure in Venezuela, et cetera, et cetera. Not great for society, but good for those stocks. This also favors gold. It also, geopolitics favors resource nationalism as countries are trying to reshore, bring natural resources back into production. That'll favor commodities, domestic resource companies. 2, AI. This is going to change everything. I think we're going to see productivity show in corporate profits, but just because AI will succeed doesn't mean investing in it will. Think about the auto industry. There were 2,000 auto companies at the beginning, only a handful survived. The aggregate profits for airlines since Kitty Hawk over a century has been 0. So the industry may do well and it may change or transform society. Investing in it is harder. What I like, ancillary parts, electrical grid upgrades, infrastructure build out, good for America, nuclear development, not as expensive as trying to predict the AI winners and losers. We talked about debasement. Finally, I would say just American renewal. Trump's initiatives are just getting underway. I think this benefits the industrial manufacturing base, technology companies, energy, infrastructure, mining. Now, I've been pretty positive about this, but of course, surprises can come at any time. We saw with Liberation Day that the markets got a little scared. Stocks fell 10%, but then they were bouncing back even stronger. And I think, one of the biggest risks that we face is the government debt credit crisis that could send a real shockwave around the world. So it's always a good idea to have some liquidity, some gold, other hard assets that do well in shocks or downturns. If things turn towards the war, rumors of war motif, then defensive consumer stocks, always a good idea as protection for the downside. I hope that helps.
We so appreciate you breaking all of this down. I certainly do, Michael. The stock market, it just seems so difficult to try to navigate for a young person. What is your biggest advice for someone in their 20s, financial advice for someone like me going into 2026? What do I need to do to make sure that my finances are in check?
Start now. Start with an IRA. You can open an IRA, a traditional IRA, for as little as $50. What matters is starting early, making regular contributions. And if you don't know what to do yet, that's fine. Just learn. You can buy indexes that represent the broader market, and don't panic in downturns. The important thing is to stay in the market over the long run. Keep investing. Keep looking to the future. And it's amazing the power of compounding, what 30 or 40 years can do to the value of a portfolio. Someone who starts in their 20s, you've got all the advantage. You think you have all the time in the world. You don't. Start now and stay at it.
Michael, real quick, because we only have about 30 seconds. What about metals and rare earth minerals?
So I love it for a lot of the reasons I've mentioned before. It plays into the geopolitics, wars and rumors of wars, the resource nationalism. It plays into the debasement trade if inflation starts to run again. I believe that metals are going to continue to shine in 2026 because you've got all these forces behind you. You've got central banks around the world buying gold. You've got industrial uses for silver where countries around the world are realizing they've got to have domestic production. China's been a big buyer of gold, big buyer of silver. All of these forces are conspiring really to the benefit of metals prices, and I don't believe we're anywhere near the end of it. I'm very bullish.
Metals will continue to shine, pun intended. Michael Wilkerson, thank you so much for being with us and all of the great advice.
Happy New Year.